Okay, so we're 5 similar figures. Okay, so I want you to look at example 1, but I want you to shift your eyes to this step 1 right here. Okay, step 1 tells us a lot of information. It says, are the corresponding angles congruent? And it says yes. Corresponding angles, when we have this wording right here, we're saying triangle ABCD is similar to DEF, okay? Similar is an important word. Similar does not mean the same, okay? Similar means proportional, okay? So when we're talking about these two words, we're talking about proportional values, okay, or proportional triangles. That means they are scaled up and scaled down. Does that make sense? Okay, they are bigger or smaller versions of the original, just like what we talked about yesterday. Are you with me? Okay, so similar means proportional. That means a bigger or smaller version. So this ABC, not ABCD, ABC and DEF are going to be similar. That means that A and D are the same angle, okay? With similar figures. So I want you to write this over to the side. With similar figures means congruent angles What does congruent mean?
You should know what that means.
They won't run into her.
It means equal. Congruent means equal, okay? Congruent angles and proportional, I'm going to stop right there, sides, okay? Similar figures, that means they have congruent angles and proportional sides. So all the angles are congruent, all the sides are proportional. That means they're bigger or smaller than the original, okay? So when we're talking about this, we're saying these two triangles are similar. So this angle right here, this angle A right here, is congruent to angle D. That means that if angle A is 30 degrees, then angle D is 30 degrees. Does that make sense? So congruent, this little sign right here, means congruent. Okay, that little sign right there, you may not be able to write that small, but that little sign right there means congruent. Okay, that means, what does congruent mean?
Equal.
Congruent means equal. So I'm going to write that up here. Congruent means equal. Okay? So they're saying A and D are congruent. They're also saying B and E are congruent. B and E are congruent. They're marking it by the two lines. Do you see the two lines that they're marking it with? Yes? Okay. So they're marking it with those two lines. So that means that those two angles are equal if they have the same two lines. Okay. And then the last one is C and F are congruent. Okay. So C and F are congruent. Now, so looking at this, so we figured out that all of these angles are congruent. So now we're going to talk about sides are proportional. So we're talking about, for example, A to C. A to C is going to be proportional with D to F. That means it's either bigger or smaller and it's scaled up by a certain value. Every side on these triangles is going to be scaled up or down by the same value. So AB would be the same as DE, and BC would be the same as EF. They match according to their order and how they listed them. When they said triangle ABC and DEF, they match. So like AB is the first two letters, DE is the corresponding side that goes with it. Does that make sense? If it's listed first like that and it says ABC is similar to DEF, then AB and DE are proportional sides. Does that make sense? And A and D are those angles that are congruent. So based on that statement, let's look at this KLMN and PQRS. Okay, order tells us that's the order that we need to go by. So obviously all the angles are congruent because it's a rectangle, right? Okay, but angle K and angle P are the congruent matching angles. So this one and this one are where they go together. Does that make sense? Okay. Then angle L and angle Q. L, Q. And M and R. And then N and S. N and S. That's fine. I just want you to see that they match. Does that make sense? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. So the corresponding sides, that's where we're really getting into. So KL corresponds with PQ. So this one, KL and PQ, are going to be proportional. Yes? Do you understand that? Okay. LM and QR. LM, QR are going to be proportional. Okay. MN and RS, MN and RS are going to be proportional. And then NK, that's okay. If you don't have 4 colors, that's okay. This one happens to be 4. It's not always going to happen like that. NK and SP are proportional. Okay? So what this is all leading to is finding a missing side. Okay? So we would try to find the missing value for X. They have X right here. So we would set it up as a proportion. With this, you have to have sort of a matching set. So I would set it up as, I do usually same triangle or same rectangle, same shape, and do the proportional, the sides together. So like for example, I would do KL over a side that we know, so we're going to do yellow. So KL over KN. And then PQ over PS. So this would be a red here, okay? So I would leave it highlighter, and then you can have pencil in the middle. Does that kind of make sense? That this would be highlighter, and then pencil would be the black. Yes or no?
Aye.
Okay. So I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to fill it in. Red, and this is my big rectangle, and this is my little rectangle, okay? So from sides on the big, I would say 5 goes right here, and 4 would go right here, because that's the same shape. And then I would put, on the other side, I would put X over 3. Could I solve for the missing value of X that way? Yes, that's set up like a proportion that we've been working, right? I could say 4 times X is 4X. 5 times 3 is 15. Divided by 4, X equals 3 and is that 0.75? Yeah. So we're saying that this right here is 3.75. The answer is going to be 3.75. So we did that by setting it up, matching up the certain angles, and figuring it out. Okay? Is everybody kind of clear on that? Okay, so let's look at this next one. So I'm going to go to the rectangles below. So I know you don't have 4 colors, but I'm going to go ahead and highlight the sides. So it tells us in the wording, A, B, C, D is similar to W, X, Y, Z. So they start in the same one. So they start with A, B. So we're going to start with A, B here. And A, B is going to match with W, X. B, C goes with X, Y. Too fast?
Yeah.
Okay. And then YZ goes with CD. And then ZW goes with DA. So I'm going to set up my proportion, and I'm going to say right here, I'm going to draw my lines, and then I'm going to put my highlighting spots. I'm looking for, it just says determine whether they're proportional. Oh, so we don't have to find a missing value. So I'm going to say 12 and 9.6. And then I'm going to say 5 and 4. Do you see where I got those numbers right here? 5, 4, 12, and 9.6. You can highlight it. I just saved time and wrote it in that color. So how do I decide if they're proportional? If I cross multiply them and they're equal, then they are proportional. Does that make sense? So if I multiply 5 times 9.6, okay, and I got 48. Butterfly, or whatever, 12 times 4 is what? 48. So when I set them up and they cross multiply and they equal, they are going to be proportional. Does that make sense? Both sides are 48. So it says determine whether it's they're similar. And you would say, yes, they are similar. Okay.